Hey everybody! The wait is over and greatness has arrived. You're watching Laketoria Nights, a show where we talk about movies, TV shows, video games, and everything in between. I'm your dream chaser, Kevin, wandering youth, or rather wandering adult, joined by your snowboarder, Andy.
Just pegging me right as the sports game guy.
And your secret agent, CJ.
I don't know why I made that noise.
Welcome to the show. For all you PlayStation fans, I'm sure you're excited to hear about the PlayStation Classic coming out. About a week ago, it was announced that 20 games are going to be preloaded with the Classic. So now we have to talk about it. First question, CJ. What games are you excited about for the PlayStation Classic?
I would say right off the bat, Siphon Filter, and if, and there's a big if, they do the original Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, I'm excited for that as well.
The original, or are there two types?
Well, what happened is, like, they have the HD remix, but all the HD remix is you have the regular game. But remember how the original Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo had, like, all the extras? Like the intermissions, the fan art, the music, everything. If it includes all that, then I'm excited for it. If it doesn't, then they just gave me the HD remix that I already have.
I don't think they would. Well, maybe they would. I feel like it'd be an actual original one, though.
Yeah, and I'm that's what I'm hoping. But judging by this list, I don't want to aim too high with my hopes because this list sucks. Just gonna say it now.
All right, fair enough. What about you, Andy?
Well, I'm with CJ on this one. The list honestly kind of disappoints me a little bit, but we'll stick to being positive first. Games I'm excited for on this list: Wild Arms. Love that series. Just super classic JRPG. It'd be kind of cool to play Rayman, although I played the newer one that just came out for, was it PS4? Or was that, I can't remember what system it was.
I think it was Nintendo at one point.
Yeah, it might have been. I played that and kind of got my Rayman fill. And, you know, since you obligated for me to talk about it, Cool Borders too.
Alright, well, I guess the game that I'm excited for is definitely Wild Arms, because I do remember playing the first one, probably the longest out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one was Battle Arena Toshinden. I was obsessed with that fighting game when it first came out. The whole ring outs and being able to do side steps or I guess...
I would have rather had Bushido Blade. That's just me.
Oh, yeah, fine. Okay, that's cool. We can go into the next part of the question.
I like how you
that's cool. That's cool. Whatever.
Just a little thing.
What's that? What is it?
I want to bring up Wild Arms for a second.
Here we
Because
go.
I am excited for Wild Arms, but I remember when I was in 6th or 7th grade, and Andy can vouch for this because he was there when I did it. I made Kevin a pillow.
Oh, yeah.
Remember this pillow, Kevin?
I remember that.
And who was on the pillow, Kevin?
It was Rudy.
Who did I try to sew and draw onto the pillow?
It was Rudy, the Dream Chaser.
And who was the most unappreciative bastard when he got that pillow?
First of all, you did not make that for me. That
Yes,
was the
I
whole
did.
thing. No, you didn't. You
Yes,
just went, and you just kind of went in and grabbed it and threw it to me. You didn't
Andy, I specifically
not
made
make
for
it.
you.
That was
was a
not premeditated.
It was a school
Kevin,
project that
it was
I
a school
specifically
project.
made for you.
Okay, fine. It was a school
Andy was
project.
in-
I can
Andy was
imagine
in
it was
my
a school
class when I
project.
did it.
No,
Why
no,
else would I
don't
do
even
it? 'Cause I
pretend
didn't
that.
get that far
Because
in
you
Wild
played
Arms.
Wild Arms also.
But I
That's
didn't
why.
get that far. I loved it as much as you do.
I still think it was because you just handed me the pill and went, here you go, Kevin. And I'm like,
I
oh,
didn't make
okay.
it for myself.
All right,
Those
fine.
two would've been.
That's because CJ was embarrassed to give you a homemade gift.
No, he wasn't. I know it is.
All I know is, do you even still have that pillow or did you throw it away?
No, Sydney kind of tore it apart.
Shit out of when I see it.
But okay, here we go. Second question.
Well,
Second
congratulations, Kevin. You put your sister on blast.
question. I did. Well,
She's gonna get an angry text later.
to be
from CJ.
fair, she was like 3, so you can't quite put her on blast because she won't even remember.
She doesn't have to remember. You ratted her out. You remember.
Oh my god. Okay. Anyway. Second question, what game should be on the PlayStation Classic? And since I'm going first, since you already took my one, which was Bushido Blade, that's a game I would rather
really?
see there.
My
Yeah,
bad.
that
I
was
didn't-
on my
Look,
thing.
I think
that was on
I feel like that was probably on all three of us potentially, because that was also one that I had talked about.
But my other game was Parasite Eve, because that was that was a really good game, and I'm surprised that they kind of overlooked it because they put Final Fantasy VII on there, and I'm just like, well, how are you not going to put Parasite Eve if you're going to put the original Resident Evil on there? And then another game that was kind of weird was they put Twisted Metal 1, but not Twisted Metal 2. To me, I feel like Twisted Metal 2 sold a lot better than the first one.
It was also a much better game,
Before we get to Andy, can I go next? Because I actually made a list of 20 games, and this is how it should have been released.
Your perfect list.
Yes, I made a perfect list.
Well, your perfect list.
I'm sure that everyone will universally agree with me.
I doubt it.
Oh, yeah,
I guarantee you one of my games is not going to be on there.
So then, wait, let me get this straight. So you made your perfect list of 20 games that should be on there?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Alright, so now this isn't like no order or ranking. Instead of Tekken 3, I wanted to go with Tekken 2. Because that's the game that really kicked off Tekken series. Silent Hill, Siphon Filter, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
2?
Only because Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 did do a lot better than Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1.
Yeah, but 1 had such a better soundtrack.
It did, but I mean, like, you could flip a coin between 1 and 2, and I wouldn't mind either.
I had this exact argument that we're having now. I had it with Odie.
I wouldn't care either way between 1 and 2. I just chose 2 because 2 really took the series to another level. 1 is still iconic, and if they wanted to put 1 on instead of 2, I wouldn't complain. Instead of Cool Borders 2, I went with 2 Extreme, one of the very first PlayStation games.
Mm-hmm.
Tomb Raider 2, Twisted Metal 2, Wild Arms, Resident Evil 2, Parappa the Rapper, Rayman, Mega Man Legends, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Legacy of Kain, Castlevania, Jet Moto, Gran Turismo 2, Croc, Legend of Dragoon, and Tenchu.
Ooh, Tenchu.
And for my honorable mentions, Dino Crisis 2 and Ape Escape.
Ape Escape is great.
You would have been more excited for those.
I would have. And the reason being, because here's the thing. They have Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six,
which did not age well.
Not just that, but the fact that the PlayStation Classic isn't coming out with the DualShock controllers, even though the PlayStation 1 did have DualShock controllers at one point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, near the end of its lifespan, but
The reason I didn't want to put Final Fantasy VII on there, even though it is a classic, is because for about $15 you can play it on your PlayStation 4, and it's getting re-released anyway. Same thing with Metal Gear Solid, classic game, but also getting remastered anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why Spyro didn't make this list.
Same thing, Spyro and Crash Bandicoot didn't make the list, and I feel like it's because they got their remaster, and with Spyro, their remaster's coming out. It.
And Spyro's coming out soon.
Yeah, so I feel like any game that's getting a remaster, I didn't want to really put on there. Grand Theft Auto is a classic game, sure, but let's face it, Grand Theft Auto wasn't the Grand Theft Auto that we all know and love until Grand Theft Auto 3.
Listen, if you handed a kid nowadays the original Grand Theft Auto, they would not know what the hell you were trying to force feed them.
And even kids with nostalgia, they're going to go to Grand Theft Auto 3 or San Andreas. They're not going to go all the way back to the first Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, that's what I mean. Totally different style of game.
With Ridge Racer Type 4, granted, a good game, but let's face it, Gran Turismo was better. Gran Turismo 2 was much better than Ridge Racer Type 4. And Gran Turismo kind of kicked off what it really meant to be a racing game. That's my list. And I feel like my list is 100 times better than... And I didn't mention Bushido Blade as my honorable mentions because Kevin brought it up with his, but it is on my list of honorable mentions. But
yeah, it's funny. Your list is nearly identical to a list that myself and a few of my friends were just sort of mulling over when we were talking about how disappointing the Classics game list is.
It really is. I'm really disappointed. Some of the choices that they have that are no-brainers, Twisted Metal over Twisted Metal 2. Are you serious?
Yeah.
What are you smoking?
Well, what were yours, Andy? What was left on your list that CJ didn't pick up?
Left on my list that CJ didn't bring up, I kind of brought up one. I wanted to see Tony Hawk Pro Skater in there.
Right.
As opposed to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, just because the soundtrack was better. The big one that I would have absolutely traded in a heartbeat, even if we're just going to keep it in the Final Fantasy family, is to trade 7 for Tactics.
Ooh, that would have been good. See, now that I'm sitting down thinking about it, I feel like Brave Fencer Musashi would have been awesome. The first one.
Dude, yes.
To actually have it on there. That would get me all psyched to get that. But when I did see the list, I was still kind of like, it's been a while since I played Wild Arms. I mean, and Battle Arena Doshin, and I'm like, $100, I might play some of the other games. But I think CJ,
I think that's the problem, is the barrier for entry on the Classic is so high that largely the only people who are going to buy it are people who are going to mod it so that they can put other PlayStation ROMs on there and, have this little memento of like 90s nostalgia sitting on their desk that they can still play the games that they actually want to play on it.
Also, real quick too, just going back for 1 second for people, because I noticed when I said my list, I only said Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. So when people say, well, which Castlevania? Blah, blah, blah. Castlevania wasn't even on PlayStation. Go find Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Great game. Continue, Andy, sorry.
I mean, that was most of it. Like I said, most of your list was actually stuff that I had discussed with Odie and a few other friends, and we came up with our own. But you covered, by and large, a lot of what we had discussed.
See, Kevin.
But yeah, those were my big ones, were just seeing Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I'd even trade Cool Borders 2 for Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I would have loved to have seen Tactics on the list, because the most recent version of it was sort of remastered that they did for the PSP. Nobody's PSPs work anymore. Mine barely turns on.
So it's safe to say that we're kind of disappointed with what the list was, because it makes it seem like that later on you can download more games to put on there. This one just comes out with 20 games.
Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna market something for a system that you're gonna be able to download or mod yourself, I think they should have come out guns firing with a stronger lineup. Like, you look at the NES Classic, great lineup. You look at the SNES Classic, somehow an even better gaming lineup. Like, the gaming lineup on the SNES Classic is godly. And then you look at the PlayStation Classic, and most of it's just games that none of us really care about.
You know what makes me sad? If this is the trend of classics coming out, just in general, can you imagine a world where an N64 Classic would come out and GoldenEye is not on it for some reason?
Yeah, or like Super Mario.
We get Perfect Dark
or something like that. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, don't you dare give me Perfect Dark instead of GoldenEye. I'll kill somebody for that. I'd be legitimately mad, like, at Nintendo.
Yeah.
All right. So, are there any final words on the Classic before we end?
They already have my money, so I'm gonna get it. But I really wish they would have done better with the list. Like I said, some of the, like Siphon Filter, I was very happy to see that on the list. That's like a really underrated game, especially since it came out around the time where it was like a poor man's Metal Gear Solid. And seeing Metal Gear Solid on there, it's like, cool, but there's so many HD collections and it's getting its own remake anyway. I feel like they put games on here that just didn't need to be on here.
I think that they were trying to fill the various genres of video game. Like, how many people...
Yeah, but
even actually played. Well, no, but I mean, like, how many people do you know that actually played Intelligent Cube? It's a very good game, but it's mainly just in there because they wanted to put a puzzle game in here.
Yeah, but I mean, you cover that with Puzzle Fighter.
Well,
I
not
mean,
really.
And even like with Twisted Metal, like having like kind of like a demolition car game, you have Destruction Derby on here as well. You could have went with Twisted Metal too.
Oh, I know.
You had so many better options with certain games, and the fact that you don't have Tomb Raider 2 or even Tomb Raider 1, which baffles me because Lara Croft, let's face it, for like 2 years carried the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean? Like, I look at it this way. Remember the demo disc that came with PlayStation? None of those games are on this list.
That's accurate.
Okay, all right. Okay, fine. This is supposed to be your final word. This is supposed to be your final word. Andy, do you have anything else? Anything else? They've
got CJ's money, but they don't have mine. I'm just gonna go pull up the dredges of my old PlayStation and gut it and turn it into something I can mod instead of buying.
Just come over and play it.
Yeah, or that.
Alright then, so to all the people watching while living in your world, we want to thank you for watching ours. Please like, subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell, and yeah, this is CJ, Andy, and Kevin signing off. Play more video games and watch all the TV shows.